ability to think and act as if what you will like to have is already present. This is another one of my 10 secrets for success and inner peace in the book of the same title. The power of intention is no doubt deficit that when you are connected to it, your sense of knowing sees what you will like to have as already present. There are no contrary opinions whatsoever. Here is my advice for accessing the power of intention. Stay on the active side of the infinite, where all the energy for creation exists in everlasting supply. Night and day, dream of what you intend to do and what you intend to be, and those dreams will interpret your intentions. Let no doubts into your dreams and intentions. The dreamers are the saviors of the world, just as the visible world is sustained by the invisible. So too, through the manifestations of man, find nourishment in the visions of our solitary dreamers. Be one of those dreamers. A sense of passion. The Greeks have given us one of the most beautiful words of our language, enthusiasm. The word enthusiasm translates to a God within. Within you is an infinite, passionate soul that wishes to express itself. It is a God within you urging you to fulfill a deep sense of what you were meant to be. All our acts are measured by the inspiration from which they originate. When your acts display the faces of intention, they spring from a God residing within you. This is enthusiasm. When you emulate the power of intention, this is where you'll find the passion you were intended to feel and live. The beauty of feeling passionate and enthusiastic is the glorious feeling of joy and cheerfulness that comes along with it. Nothing provides one with more joy than sitting here and writing to you from my heart. I enthusiastically allow these teachings to come through me from the source of all intention, the universal mind of all creativity. Put quite simply, I feel good. I am in a cheerful mood, and my inspiration provides me with joy. If you want to feel great, look into the mirror. Say to your image, I am eternal. This image will fade, but I am infinite. I am here temporarily for a reason. I will be passionate about all that I do. Then just notice how you feel as you stare at your reflection. Being cheerful is a wondrous side benefit of enthusiasm. It comes from being in the active side of infinity where there is absolutely nothing to feel bad about. Is there anyone to take over or shall I continue?
You can read up to the end of this chapter because
Okay,
it's not.
I'll continue. Thank you. A sense of belonging. In a world that lasts forever, you certainly must belong. The active side of the infinity inspires not only a strong sense of belonging, but a strong feeling of connectedness to everyone and everything in the cosmos. It is impossible for you not to belong because your presence here is evidence that a divine universal source intended you here. Yet, when you live on the inactive side of infinity, you feel a sense of alienation from others. Your idea that this is all temporary and that you aren't piece of God's infinite perfection leads you to self doubt, anxiety, self rejection, depression, and so many more of the low energies. I've written about throughout this book. All it takes is a shift to infinite awareness to leave this feeling of misery. As Shivananda taught his devotees, all life is one, the world is one home, all are members of one human family. All creation is an organic whole. No man is independent of the whole. Man makes himself miserable by separating himself from others. Separation is death. Unity is eternal life. This concludes my ideas on the active and inactive sides of the infinite. I urge you to remind yourself every day, as frequently as possible, of your infinite nature. It may sound like merely an intellectual shift of minor consequences, but I assure you that staying on the active side of infinity and reminding yourself of it regularly will put you in a position to manifest your desires. Of all the quotes on this subject I have read, this observation made by William Blake stands out. If the doors of the perception were cleansed, everything would appear as man as it is, infinite. Remember, we are attempting to clean up the connecting link between ourselves and the field of intentions. 5 suggestions for implementing the ideas in this chapter. 1. Since you already know that you have an appointment with infinity and that you're ultimately required to leave this corporeal world behind, make the decision do so sooner rather than later. In fact, today, right now, is a great time to keep that appointment and get it over and once and for all. Simply announce to yourself, I'm no longer identified by this body's or mine. I and I reject this label from the moment on. I'm infinite. I am one with all the humanity. I am on with my source, and with this, how I choose to view myself from all this day forward. Second, repeat this mantra to yourself each day as you remind yourself that God wouldn't and couldn't create something that doesn't last. I will exist for all eternity, just as love is eternal. So is this my true nature. I will never be afraid again because I am forever. This kind of inner affirmation aligns you on the active side of infinity and erases doubt from your authentic higher identity. Third, in a meditative stance, consider the two choices of belief on this concept of infinity. You are, in the truest sense, as I have said previously, either a human being having an occasional spiritual experience or an infinite spiritual being having a temporal human experience. Which of these gives you a feeling of love and which inspires fear? Now, since love is our true nature and the source of all, anything that creates fear can't be real. As you see, the feeling of love is associated with yourself as an infinite being. Then you must rely on this feeling to tell you the truth. Your place in the active side of infinity assures you of a feeling of security, love, and permanent connection to intention. Fourth, in any moment in which you find yourself thinking low energy thoughts of fear, despair, worry, sadness, anxiety, guilt, and so on, just for a moment stop and consider whether this makes any sense from the perspective of the active side of infinity. Knowing that you are here forever and always connected to your source, you will you give will give you an entirely new outlook. In the context of infinity, living any moment of your life in anything other than appreciation and love is a waste of your life energy. You can quickly dissipate those lower energies and simultaneously connect to the power of intention by cleansing these lenses of perception and seeing everything as it is infinite, as William Blake suggests. Fifth one, take a few moments to reflect on the people who you were close to and loved, who have crossed over. Take a few moments to reflect on the people you were close to and loved, who were crossed over. Being aware of your infinite nature and staying in infinite activity side allows you to feel the presence of those souls who can't die and did not die. In Donahue's book, Celtic wisdom called Anam Cara. He offers these words with which I not only concur, but I know to be true from my own personal experience. I believe that our friends among the dead really mind us and look out for us. We might be able to link up in a very creative way with our friends in the invisible world. We do not need to grieve for the death. We should Why should we grieve for them? They are now in a place where there is no more shadow, darkness, loneliness, isolation, or pain. They are home. They are with God, from whom they came. You can own, you can only communicate with and feel the presence of those who have crossed over. You yourself can die while you are alive and rid yourself now of these shadows and darkness by living the active side of infinity. The concluding part one of Power of Intention. Part 2 will be a series of chapters describing how you put this new connection to intention to work in a variety of ways in your life. As with the first part, read on with a mind that is not only open to the possibility of you are achieving all that you can imagine, but to knowing that on the active side of infinity, all things are possible. Now, you tell me what that leaves out. Wow, that was amazing. So, we are entering part 2 now.
Yeah, yeah. That was beautiful read. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Shilpa wants to read. She's put her name. Even others, whoever would want to read, please put your names in the chat box so we can follow the order. Shilpa, you can take over.
Good morning, everyone. Can
Yeah,
you
good
hear
morning.
me?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Good morning.
Okay, thank you. So, putting intention to work. We are already one, and we imagine we are not. You have to scroll a little bit. Okay. And what we have to recover is our original unity. Whatever we have to be to what we are. This is what Thomas Martin said. We are on chapter 7. It is my intention to respect myself at all times. A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. A quote from Mark Twain. Here's a simple truth to begin this chapter. You did not originate from a material particle as you have been led to believe. Your conception at the moment of your parents' blissful commingling was not your beginning. You had no beginning. That particle emanated from the universal energy field of intention, as do all particles. You're a piece of that universal mind of creation, and you must see God inside of you and view yourself as a divine creation in order to access the power of intention in your life. Give this idea a healthy dose of your attention right now, in this moment, as you read these words. Contemplate the enormity of what you're reading. You are a piece of God. You are a living, breathing creation that emanated from the universal mind of the all creating source. You and God are the same thing. Very simply put, when you love and trust yourself, you are loving and trusting the wisdom that created you. And when you fail to love and trust yourself, you're denying that infinite wisdom in favor of your own ego. It's important here to remember that at every single moment of your life, you have the choice to either be a host and God a host to God or a hostage to your ego. Host or hostage? Your ego is a set of beliefs that I have written about earlier in this book, which define you as what you accomplish and accumulate in a material sense. Your ego is solely responsible for the feeding of self doubt and self repudiation that you may carry around. When you attempt to live by the low level standards of your ego, you're a hostage to that very same ego. Your worth as a person is measured by your acquisition and accomplishments. If you have less stuff, you are less valuable and therefore unworthy of respect from others. If others don't respect you and your value depends on how others see you, then it's unimaginable for you to have self respect. You become a hostage to this low level ego energy, which has you constantly striving for self respect through others. Your ego is a belief that you are separate from everyone, separate from what's missing in your life, and most arrogantly separate from God. Further hampers your ability to live up to the intention of respecting yourself. Ego's idea of separation fosters your feeling of being in competition with everyone and evaluating your worth based on how frequently you emerge as a winner. As a hostage to your ego, self respect is unavailable because you feel judged for your failures. It's out of this bleak picture produced by the negative ego that self rejection emerges. It captures you and makes a hostage of you, never allowing you to play host to that from which you are originated. Being a host to God means always seeing your authentic connection to your source. It's knowing that it's impossible for you to ever be disconnected from the source from which you came. Personally, I thoroughly enjoy being a host to God. As I write here, each morning, I feel that I'm receiving words and ideas from the power of intention, which allows me to bring these words to this page. I trust in this source to provide me with words. Therefore, I'm trusting in the source, and that brought me into this physical world. I am externally connected to this source. This awareness simply doesn't include a lack of respect for intending this book into form. This conclusion I've come to is that I am worthy of my intention to write this book and have it published and in your hands today. In other words, I respect the peace of God that I am. I tap into the power of intention, and my feeling of respect for it enhances my respect for myself. So, by loving and respecting yourself, you're hosting God and inviting the energy of creation to your consciousness, to your daily life as you connect to the power of intention. Let me read this again in the I form, okay? So, by loving and respecting myself, I am hosting God and inviting the energy of creation to my consciousness, to my daily life as I connect to the power of intention. So powerful. The energy of intention and your self respect. If you don't believe that you're worthy of fulfilling your intentions for health, wealth, or loving relationships, then you're creating an obstacle that will inhibit the flow of creative energy into your daily life. Recall that everything in the universe is energy, which moves at various frequencies. The higher the frequency, the closer you are in spiritual energy. In the lower frequency, you will find shortages and problems. Intention itself is a unified energy field that intends everything into existence. This field is a home to the laws of nature and to the inner domain of every human being. This is the field of all possibilities, and it's yours by virtue of your existence. Having a belief system that denies your connection to intention is the only way you are unable to access the power of intention from the infinite field. If you're convinced that you are unworthy of enjoying the field of all possibilities, then you will radiate this kind of lower energy. This will, in fact, become your attracted energy pattern, and you will send messages to the universe that you are unworthy of receiving the unlimited abundance of the originating spirit. Soon you will act on this inner conviction of self disrespect. You will regard yourself as separate from the possibility of receiving the loving support of the originating field of intention, and you will stop the flow of that energy into your life. Why? All because you see yourself as unworthy? This disrespect alone is sufficient to impede the arrival of your intentions into your life. The law of attraction attracts disrespect. When you are affirming that you are unworthy of being respected, send out the message to the provider of all that you are unworthy. And you literally say to the universal source of all, stop the flow of anything I desire, which is coming in my direction, because I don't believe I am worthy of receiving it. The universal source will respond by halting the flow, causing you to reaffirm your inner conviction of unworthiness and attract even more disrespect in a multitude of ways. You will disrespect your body by overfeeding it and poisoning it with toxic substances. You will display your lack of self respect in how you carry yourself, how you dress, how you fail to exercise, how you treat others. On and on goes the list. The antidote to this dreary picture is to make an internal commitment to respect yourself and to feel worthy of all that the universe has to offer. If anyone is entitled to success and happiness, everyone is, because everyone is always connected to intention. Simply put, disrespecting yourself is not only disrespecting one of God's greatest creations, it's disrespecting God. When you disrespect your source, you say no to it, and you turn away from the power of intention. This stops the flow of energy that allows you to put your individual unbending intent into practice. All of the positive thinking in the world will do you absolutely no good if those thoughts don't emanate from the respect for your connection to intention. The source of your thoughts must be celebrated. Oops, just a minute. Celebrated and loved. I'll repeat. The source of your thoughts must be celebrated and loved. And this means having the self-respect that's in harmony with the omniscient source of intelligence. What's the source of your thoughts? Your beingness, Your beingness is the place from which your thoughts and action come. When you disrespect your being, you set into motion a chain reaction culminating in unfulfilled intentions. Self respect should be a natural state for you, just as it is for all of the animal kingdom. There are no raccoons out there who believe that himself unworthy of which of what he intends to have. Were that so, the raccoon would simply die by acting on the basis of his inner conviction that he was unworthy of food or shelter and whatever else raccoons desire. He knows he's respectable, never finds any reason for self repudiation, and lives out his raccoonness in perfect order. The universe provides, and he attracts those provisions into his world. What you think of yourself is what you think of the world. How do you see the world you live in? What do you think people in general are really like? Do you believe that evil is triumph, triumphing over good? Is the world filled with egocentric, selfish people? Can the little guy ever get ahead? Are government entities and all their representatives corrupt and untrustworthy? Is life unfair? Is it impossible to get ahead if you don't have connections? All of these attitudes emerge from your own assessment of your own personal interaction with life. If your thoughts reflect a pessimistic view of the world, then that's actually how you feel about yourself. If your thoughts reflect an optimistic view of the world, then that's how you feel about your life. Whatever attitude you have about the world in general is a good indicator of the respect you have for your abilities to intend into this world what you desire. I'll repeat this in the I form. Whatever attitude I have about the world in general is a good indicator of the respect I have for my abilities to intend into this world what I desire. Pessimism strongly suggests that you don't subscribe to the idea that you can access the power of intention to help you create your own blissful reality. I recall hearing the following conversation after the events of 9/11 in New York City. A grandfather was talking to his grandson, telling him, I have two wolves barking inside of me. The first wolf is filled with anger, hatred, bitterness, and mostly revenge. The second wolf inside of me is filled with love, kindness, compassion, and mostly forgiveness. Which wolf do you think will win? The young boy inquired. The grandfather responded, whichever one I feed. There are always two ways to look at the conditions of our world. We can see the hate, prejudice, mistreatment, starvation, poverty, and crime and conclude that this is a horrible world. We can feed this barking wolf and see more and more of what we despise. But this will only fill us with the same things that we find so malignant. Or we can look to the world from a position of self-love and self-respect and see the improvements that have been made in race violations relations in our lifetime. the full of so many dictatorships, lower crime rates, the dismantling of the atrocious apartheid systems, the elevated consciousness of the environmental movement, and the desire on the part of so many to rid our world of nuclear weapons and instruments of mass destruction. We can remind ourselves for every act of evil in the world, there are a million acts of kindness. And we can then feed the second wolf that barks from a position of hope for humanity. If you see yourself as a divine creation, you will look for this in your world view. And the gloom and the doom naysayers will have no impact on you and your self respect. When you have a gloomy picture of what the world looks like, you're unreceptive to the potential assistance there is to help you with your own individual intentions. Why would others want to come to your aid when you view them as contemptible? Why would the universal force be attracted to that which repels it? How could a world that's so corrupt ever be of assistance to someone who has noble intentions? The answers to these questions are obvious. You attract into your life what you feel inside. I repeat, I attract into my life what I feel inside. If I feel that I am not worthy of being respected, I attract disrespect. This weak self respect is a result of an exceptionally rusty link to that field of intention. This link must be cleaned and purified, and that takes place within our own mind. I have specifically chosen self respect as the first chapter in part one and part two on applying intention, because without high esteem for yourself, you shut down the entire process of intention. Without unflagging self respect, the process of intention is operating as the lowest level at the lowest levels. The universal field of intention is love, kindness, and beauty, which it has for all that it brings into the material world. Those who wish to replicate the works of the universal, all creating mind must um, um, I'm sorry, must be in harmony with the attributes of love, kindness, and beauty. If you disrespect anyone or anything that God creates, you disrespect that creative force. You are one of those creations. I repeat, I am one of those creations. If I view yourself, myself disrespectfully, I have forsaken, cast aside, or at the very least sullied my connection to the power of intention. It's important that I recognize that my entire worldview is based on how much respect I have for myself. Believe in infinite possibilities, and I cast a vote for my own possibilities. Stand firm on the potential for humans to live in peace and be receptive to all. And I am someone who's at peace and receptive to life possibilities. Know that the universe is filled with abundance and prosperity and is available to everyone. And I come down on the side of having that abundance show up for me as well. My level of self regard must must come from my knowing within myself that I have a sacred connection. Let nothing shake that divine foundation. In this way, I link to intention, or my link to intention is cleansed. And I always know that self respect is my personal choice. It has nothing to do with what others may think of me. My self respect comes from the self and the self alone. Would someone like to read?
No, I think let's stop here because it's already 8:11.
Oh my
So
God,
we'll
it's
stop
so late.
here for
Okay.
today and we'll continue this tomorrow. Anyway, it's a new chapter, so it will take time for us to finish. So yeah, we are open for discussion now. Anyone wants to please share something, any insight, point out something that they liked about the reading or any insights along the way, please do share. Feel free. It was pleasure to listen to you, Shilpa, after such a long time.
Thank you so much.
You reading for us has always been a pleasure. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining. Yes, everyone, please do share. I can see some new friend joining here, Meera and Shruti. So would you like to take a chance to speak? Anything?
This is the first time I'm joined. Actually, it was a good this one session.
Yeah, we are reading this book, The Power of Intention, and this
Okay.
was a part of
Uh,
it. So today we just started with the second part of the book. So the first
okay.
part
Okay.
is all about what is intention, and it was all the explanation around uh, the power of intention and intention by the author. And now he is talking about how to implement this intention. When you tap into this infinite intention, which we read in the last chapter, so now he will be talking about how do we implement that into our life. So this was the first part that we started with.
It is a good book and it was a very good read also today.
Yeah. So you want to
Thank
share
you.
any of your takeaway so far, or what struck you as you listen through today?
Pardon?
What struck you the most, or anything that was your takeaway from today's reading?
Oh, no, actually, whatever we intend that we get back, get back. That is the main this one. I joined a little late today, actually.
Okay, okay, no problem. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
sharing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shruti. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. As I just said, it was such a wonderful read, and the main takeaway was like what we think, that is what we attract in our life. Matlab, lot of times we are in a complaining mode, this is happening, this person is not good. So idea is, we have to change ourselves, and the way we become, the same way we will attract people, the same way we'll make that kind of environment around us. So the change has to come within us, not outside. I think that was the main takeaway.
Yeah. Great, great. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Mean this means this all actually, although we know and we have read the books and all, and to inculcate that such a repeat reading and this one it helps us. Although we know sometimes we will not practice that, and this reading will help us like to inculcate.
Yeah, yeah, very much.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
many a time these books are deeper and the concepts are so deep that one time
yeah,
read is not enough. We need to
yeah,
go
yeah.
through them again and let them sink
Mm,
in. Yeah,
correct.
but at
Uh,
least reading once helps with the seeding of the process. So
yeah,
at least we get to understand the concepts in the first place and then we dwell upon them and we can always go deeper into it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's. Mm,
Also, this book was suggested in Skilling Saturday session by Mr. David Nair. We had a wonderful session with him of setting the power of setting our purpose. So he had recommended this book very strongly, and he asked us to read this book again and again.
Yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
famous book. In fact, the author Wayne Dyer is very famous. And
Okay.
we recently watched this movie by him, The Shift, in this in a group. So that was an interesting this thing watch also. And I have been listening few of his videos, and he's old and he's very famous. I think I don't know if he's still there, but this book is also very famous. And as we are reading it from the beginning, it's very beautiful. So if you have not started with us and you want to read it, I would suggest please do read. In fact, when we started with this book, the author suggested to read from the last chapter. So that's
Hmm.
how he mentions in the preface. So that
Hmm.
that is very interesting, that how he shares how connection, how a person who's very much connected to intention will be. And that's very interesting to read, and that really actually sets a proper tone of the book also. So I would
Hmm.
highly recommend, please go through and catch up with the that first part that we have already read, and it will help you with a lot of
Hmm.
insights.
Can you share
Yeah.
us the link again? I have that
I
Telegram
will
link.
share that. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll just share the PDF in the groups again. So there are
Yeah.
two groups, people from two groups join here, like Feld and B Club. So we have shared the book already, but I'll share it again.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Good morning to all.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Mansi, the story which was discussed by the old man, that is the wolf story, wherein you have a bad wolf and good wolf inside, and whom is going to win. It's a story all about, right? Um, this story you can search in YouTube. You'll get it in the animated form. And I have taken this video and I have played it right in front of grade 9 and grade 10 students. And like I used to run the video and then give a pause. And then I used to make them to write what are your positives and negatives, and just syncing that with the white wolf and the black wolf. So then I made them to think, okay, which is the best one? How do you feed with them? What kind of activities do you do to feed that? So, yeah, my suggestion over here is if you have small children around you, it's better you play that video. It's really lovely. I mean, as a subconscious needs a subtle message, it will not give you a hardcore message. It will just hit you in a very subtle way. And that would definitely help the children around. So just try to search it in the YouTube, and it works at wonders, Mansi.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I have
totally
seen that myself and I really like it. Why don't you share it with us, Pranavi, in the group? That will really help everyone.
Yeah, I would do that because it's
Yeah.
been years I have worked over there. But then this story had made a very good impact on the children. So yeah, if I'll just sit and try to search for it. I mean, the video
Yeah,
is
if you
so
can,
beautiful.
it's okay. Otherwise, even I'll try looking for it. But if you
Yeah, yeah,
can, since you are well aware of
definitely.
it, it will be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there the picture itself depicts a lot than reading that story. So it's like that.
Yes,
And
yes. I have seen that.
one more takeaway was that you're not supposed to miss any of the ingredients over there, either kindness nor love nor the three qualities he has mentioned. If you try to stop any one of it, you wouldn't be in alignment with it. So at times I forget that I used to work. I mean, I need to work only two or three qualities. That's more than enough, I used to think. But then the author is telling that you need to work on all these three things to be in rhythm with it. Otherwise, the alignment may not be much clear. So that was one more takeaway I have taken. And yeah, that's it.
Mansi, I wanted to
Yeah,
share
thank you.
something.
Yeah, yeah, Shilpa, go on, go on.
So, Dr. Wayne Dyer is one of my favorite authors. I've been following him since a very long time. Unfortunately, I could not see him personally, and he's already merged with light. I just want to, I don't know if you know, um, when he died, he had a very hard childhood. And he was moved from foster homes to foster homes, and he was separated from his siblings also. But at the end, when he died, he has a big family. He had many children. and he wanted his body to be burned and his ashes to be thrown into the water. Now, this is in the United States, and you will not believe what happened. Uh, the the children, I think they were on a boat or something, and then they put the ashes into the water, and they were videotaping this. They were recording this ritual that was going on, and you won't believe, honestly, even I've seen this video. I don't know if it is on the net, but because I was totally with into his community, so we got to see this video. After the ashes landed into the water, you could see that they were falling into the water. All of a sudden, one of his children said, "Look," and the camera went to the water where the ashes went, and in the water you could see Wayne Dyer's face. Don't ask me how.
Really, hmm,
You could see
Oh,
Wayne Dyer's
wow.
face.
really
Oh my
wonderful.
God, I get even goosebumps thinking about it. He was he worked so hard on himself, and he had read everything under, he had even read Bhagavad Gita, he had read I Ching, he had read everything under the sun. And he was so powerful in whatever he said. And I find when I say this in our scriptures, I don't see this I self-respect, I this. We don't talk about aham, then because then it becomes too much egoistic. I remember, I don't know how many of you, since most of us had Indian parents, I don't know how many of you got told by your parents, "You're very pretty, you're very beautiful, you are." We don't get um, said very often. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just making you aware of it. Because in the US, honestly, the mother and the parents keep on saying, "You're so good, you're so beautiful, you're so this." So even before he's 10 years old, I don't want to say he has a chip on his shoulder, but he feels very confident and that he is something. And in Singapore, it's something similar too. So I've seen these two nations, they work like this. At the same time, I really, really think, if, just like the author says, if I do not respect myself, I cannot respect anyone else. If I do not respect the architect and the engineer of this body, then and I'm not in awe and in gratitude of this engineer and this architect of this body, then what else has to happen? And that's why I believe that what he talks about, that if you, like a Tibetan monk told me, if I have water, only then I can serve water. If the monk is thirsty and he wants only water, and if I do not have water, I cannot serve him water. When he was talking about this, I could not understand what is he talking about, because this came all out of sudden when he was walking with us. And then he said, he just stopped all of a sudden. We were in the woods. He stopped all of a sudden, faced us, and told us in a very quiet, soft voice. I remember the clearing in the woods, the big trees, and the little rustle of the wind when he spoke those words. If you don't love and respect yourself, you cannot love and respect anyone else completely. We took this home because we were on a retreat. So most of us took these words home. In a sense, we spent a night thinking over these words, and we were discussing in the evening. But that, how can that be true? I love my child much more. I would just give up my life for him or her. And the next morning, we told this to the monk, and he said, "Do you really think that you love your child more than you are?" Yeah, I'm willing to give up my life, my most precious thing. And he started smiling and he told us, no, I'm just telling you what he said. He said, can you imagine your life without your child? If your child died today, can you imagine your life? That was the question number one. Question number two was, if your child died before you did, could you go on living? Question number three, if you can, is it, see carefully inside you, is it because you cannot even imagine the grief, the pain of separation from your loved one, from a child, from your own child, from your own being? Are you afraid of this, and that's why you're willing to sacrifice your life? So these were the three questions we were talking about. And then at the end, we as a group, after a lot of contemplation, we agreed that we cannot see, even imagine the pain. It's beyond us. And well, that we agreed on. And maybe that's why we were willing to sacrifice our lives. There's a lot of contemplation about this. But again, you can only give what you have. So if you do not have love, self-respect, kindness, compassion towards yourself, you cannot give anybody authentically the same thing. Even if you believe so, you are not doing it. It's impossible. You can only give with what you have. So let's find compassion, kindness, and everything for ourselves today. Let's put into practice today and meet tomorrow. Now, Mansi, what do you say?
Yeah, definitely. We have to practice what we are learning, because otherwise it will all evaporate. But yeah, very, very well said. And I love the shares. And you, like, I was not at all aware of that video that you shared about his. That's how it happens in a Hindu culture, right? Like, we burn the bodies and then the ashes are put in the water. But the face and that was very new to me. That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, we do need to practice all these qualities. And yes, we that's very true. I could remember some stories or some shares around that, but let's see. Yeah, Deepa, you want to share something, na? Please go on.
Yeah, I have a share. The writer here, he talks about self-love in the context of giving. And he has this small poem. Your enemy is forgiveness. Your enemy is forgiveness is what you can give. To an opponent, we can give tolerance. To a friend, a heart. To our own child, a little good example. To our father, deference. To your mother, conduct that will make her proud of you. To yourself, respect. And to all men, charity. That was really big for me. So self-love actually comes more from giving all these things to the entire world. And then he talks about death. Death as in the context of being with the higher energy, with the higher source, and not to fear death. I think this entire chapter, the core of it is that embrace death, face death on its face, and it's a continuous loop. We are going into a higher energy, higher source. So there's nothing to fear or to be afraid of. Just continue. It's a continuation. And then he's talking about that the human form is actually the temporary form. And we have to identify ourselves primarily with the spiritual nature, which is existing all around us. Another thing he's talking about is be a dreamer. Dreamers make this world. If you want to have the power of intention, start by dreaming. And dreams are very important. And then again, one more thing, Lewis Hay, which Mansi keeps talking about. I have to read that book. Is about standing in front of the mirror and saying that anything is possible. I can do it, and that is very important. And his interpretation of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is a Greek word, and it means a God within. That's a very powerful thing. So enthusiasm, whenever you feel enthusiastic, we have to imagine, I have to imagine, I have to believe that God exists in me. And that is how I emulate the power of intention. And that is very important. And then all such wonderful things he's talking about here. All life is one, the world is one home, all are members of one human family. And all this, no, again, centers around self love. Self love is enveloping, adopting, accepting anything and everything. And then he's talking about active and inactive life. Active life is primarily being not in doubt, accepting what is there, and being a dreamer, being enthusiastic is being active. And he repeatedly keeps quoting Shivananda. So that's all very amazing. And again, it is like we are dipped into spirituality, the power of the source, and that anything is possible, anything and everything is possible. And in this one more, this Shivananda poem, I'll just complete that poem. All life is one, the world is one home, all are human members of one human family. All creation is an organic whole. No man is independent of this whole. Man makes himself miserable by separating himself from others. Separation is death. Unity is eternal life. And just my take on this young death. Young deaths happen maybe because they are meant for another purpose and another body. So maybe they leave. It is time to let go and to embrace the decision made by the source, and welcome the new energy in the new form that young life has taken again, and to go with that. Sometimes, it's a very difficult thing, to lose a young life, a vibrant life. But that is not to be seen as a cruel thing. That is to be accepted as something in which the source, the higher power, the God have decided something better is in existence for this young energy, which is going to take a much more profound, sublime form again. So, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Deepa. And yes, he did share, right? Like, we have to be, in fact, happy that they are now finally at their home. And so we need to try looking at that differently. That's what we shared in our reading today, also. And yes, very beautifully summarized. So, yeah. Uh, So it was wonderful sharing, and lots of insights were already highlighted through whatever we read today. So thank you everyone for all of that. I loved how you shared about the enthusiasm that I had read that somewhere else before, and today it came as a repeat reminder in a very beautiful way. So thank you for everyone. And I just want to uh, I just remembered one thing which I would just want to add before we leave. This there was this video by Maya Angelou where she was asked what is the best advice that she was asked two things: what is the best advice you have ever received, and what is the best advice that you have ever given to someone. So I don't remember what she talked about receiving right now. I'm not able to recollect it, but the giving part, where I which it just highlighted from today's reading also, she shared that the best advice she has ever given was the advice to her son where she shared that always respect yourself enough and never allow anyone to do any harm to your soul or to harm you in a way that you are hurt deeply or anything. Don't allow that to happen, because you are a God's child, and always remember this. So that was the best advice she said that she had given, and that reminded me of what we read today. Like it's very much on the same grounds, like when the author talks about respecting ourselves enough. So when we respect ourselves enough, we don't actually disrespect all our desires, or and every single aspect as is shared, right? Our body, the important things that we need to do for ourselves, and as well as the way people treat us and the way we get treated by others, allowing everything of that. So just remember that. So just wanted to share it with all. Yeah, that's it. I think we can call it a day. It was a beautiful sharing and wonderful reading today. And the second part is just started, which I'm assuming will be more of implementation of the reading of the earlier part. So I'm very curious and looking forward to it. So thank you all. Thank you for joining. See you all tomorrow with the new learnings. So thank you. See you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye. See you.